Hi guys, Dwayne from District Terra here. Just doing our second part of our series about the Slaan Stadium board that we built back in last year for PAX Australia, and just wanted to go through some of the techniques and stuff that we used while painting the board. So stay tuned and check it out. One thing I've learned from my builds is that I tend to undercoat and re-undercoat and undercoat and undercoat a lot of times. I'm not sure why I do it all the time. I guess I just want to see how it might look with some paint. But most boards or pieces I do, I will undercoat quite a few times before I'm happy with whatever I've done. Sometimes it's just easier to see your mistakes when everything is the one sort of tone. So I'm pretty sure this got a couple of different sprays before we got to a stage where I was happy with it. But this is basically a foam safe spray. I don't know how many of these we've gone through in the past couple of years. Spray it pretty liberally all over. It's got great pressure, so it comes out nice and fast, and it's got good coverage as well. It might take a couple of coats on orange foam. Just it doesn't seem to stick always, or it doesn't seem to get into the pores of it. So sometimes it takes a little bit of extra work, a little bit of extra finesse. So once the black's down, what we tend to do is give it like a light misting of white. It's hard to tell from the photo, but always mist with white unless we're actually doing a black undercoat. Here you'll see a great example of me deciding that it wasn't quite dirty enough. The joins were maybe not quite rough. For the back, I used the texture paint on the back, number one, because I wasn't having any luck sanding it flat, and number two, it would have made it tougher and give someone something to look at the back, because I didn't think I was going to be able to do any brickwork or anything that would have been extreme. So I wanted to have something on there that wasn't just flat black, and something that could make it maybe a little bit tougher. So that's why I went with so much texture paint on this one. So obviously after that texture paint was applied, we sprayed it again. We've got here, I think this is an airbrush actually. A lot of this is airbrush work. So we've got the browns down, obviously where the dirt is for the dugout and stuff like that. But I also have a couple of spray bottles that are filled with water mixes, so water and paint. I'm not sure what the ratios are, but they're very light washes. The foam actually soaked up this paint quite well. So when I was spraying the greens and the browns and the blacks on that I normally, it was sort of putting itself in there and sort of spreading out as it went into the foam, which worked out really well because you can see a lot of variation in the tones of all the pieces that are here. So the throne, as you can see, ended up being a lot more complicated than I originally planned. I'm very happy with the result though. I had a lot of fun with these totems and sort of thinking of ideas and designs to put on them and stuff that was interesting. Then of course we had the little Slaan fella I painted up that was donated by the customer, which is good because he fit the theme very well. Originally had white eyes, but I figured the black's creepier. The black's creepier and probably more true to lizardmen than white. I don't even know why I chose white. Next is the washes. So we've got in the corner here, it mustn't have been obvious in any other photos, but we've got some skulls and a spear. I had a couple of pieces that I cast up, just small push molds of bits and pieces that I can use on the board in certain places. So with the golds and the inserts of the turn counters, I actually used, I'm pretty sure this was Aztec or maybe it was mine number system there. So the dots and then a line for 5, and then 5 line and 1 is 6, line and 2 is 7, etc. So once the gold was down on that, just a very heavy wash was used to sort of bring those details out. You can see here on the scoreboard especially the way the sprayed on wash sort of gets in there and spreads out well, and I absolutely love the way it looks, even when it sort of shows that it's a wash as this does with the surface tension showing and all that. I still don't think it's a bad look, and I'm super happy with the way this turned out. Even if there wasn't going to be any green life on it, it still would have been a pretty good board. Next is the first layer of flocking and plant work and stuff like that, I tend to do 1 or 2 layers of 2 or 3 layers of flock actually, just to give the flock more height. Usually when 1 layer of flock on a board, it doesn't really look quite natural. It looks almost painted on. So with 2 layers, once the first layer is dry, of course, with 2 layers on there, you get a lot more depth to it, literally. And I've always liked the way that looks. Just another picture. So these plants were some of these I think were off the piece I showed earlier, the square. As you can see there, the vine has just been PVA'd down, and then I've used pins to sort of hold it into place because those didn't have any wire structure inside them, so they kind of just did what they wanted and they bent to their original shape every time you let go of them. So I put that there and put the PVA and the pins there to try and help it stay where I wanted it to stay. The other plants are simply just, there's a hole drilled, pop some PVA on the end of the plant and then put into the hole. So that's how they go. So this was the bleachers, the plebeian bleachers, I guess, as you can see, because the scatter count, the scatter marker and the scoreboard are both on that side. And then we go over to the head honcho's sort of side. So in his little corporate box there, they fit in there really well. Like I got the height of the legs and the back end really well matched. So it actually ended up being really good, this piece. There's all the Hall of Fame shields for all the lizardmen. A couple more photos of him. And then we obviously add vines as we keep going, as we realize how useful these vines are. We keep adding them through. So you can see here that we're probably adding more and more flocking as we're going as well. Getting into some of these corners was a little bit tricky, but we got there luckily. And then, so with the painting, all the recesses, every single line that was carved into this was washed heavily 2 or 3 times. Just to sort of bring out those details. I didn't want to drown them out. I didn't want to make it thick enough that I was painting it in there, as a wash is pretty easy most of the time. But that's what we ended up with. The gold tiles were to signify the touchdown square or touchdown line. The blue line through the middle was to represent the middle of the board, and we did the wings of the board as well in like a light blue sort of / turquoise. Almost a heavy dry brush, I'd say, through the crevices. Here's me trying to set up some fancy photos. Didn't really work too well. The space we've got here is not too great. So once we got all the washing done on all the boards, I added some blood to it. I thought blood around especially around the line of scrimmage is a good idea, because obviously that's where a lot of fights happen. These cracks that are in the board were actually done with a knife, which is something I haven't done before. So there you have it, the Slaan Stadium build. Apologies again for the setup, taking the pictures, and I wish we had more footage or videos to show, or time lapses or something like that, so we could show the techniques properly or a little bit better. Unfortunately, with the setup we had, space was limited as well within the workshop, and yeah, it was more time consuming than was necessary at the time. So with that in mind, if there's any questions you've got, and if there's any comments you want to make, if there's anything you didn't like, please let us know in the comments. Please like, share and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks. Bye. Hi everyone, if you like what you see, please visit our YouTube, Instagram and Facebook. District Terra is the name, and stay tuned for more updates coming in the future. Thanks. Bye.